Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and for this one, gonna be reviewing The Wild. Interesting though, because, reviewing The Wild, if you guys know, because the Disney film and such, I gotta say, for The Wild, I want to, in my opinion, I think it's okay. It's okay slash because with the characters, it's the story, everything else to it, it's okay. In fact, what's pretty interesting, because two things about this, because I think some people have compared this with Madagascar. Of course, DreamWorks, Madagascar. I can kind of see it, like, probably. Okay, like, for an example, because you have talking animals in a zoo in New York City. They leave the zoo, they wander around the big city, they end up like on a boat out in the ocean, the sea, and they wound up on an island. Yeah, both of those films have those exact same things, but they're different from each other. Even though they have some of those things, they're different. Like Madagascar, basically the story, their stories, everything else, way, way different, okay? Because basically, because with the movie, because the lion, Samson, his son Ryan wounds up in a green box, okay, well, get to that later. Another thing I was going to say was besides with the other thing I was going to say, because with Madagascar and the Wild being compared and such, another thing that's pretty cool about this that Will Vinton was actually worked on this, actually. I think he was part of the animation or executive producer, I don't know. Now, if you guys know who Will Vinton is, and for those who wouldn't, who wouldn't? Because Will Vinton, well known for doing clay animation, for stop motion, that is, like you name it, because one of his first big ones was Closed Mondays, which that won an Oscar, in the early, I think it was the early 70s, and it even beat Disney's Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2. And Will Vinton also, he started his studio, and then he did numerous of claymation projects, from The Adventures of Mark Twain, from the California Raisins, if you guys remember that, if you guys remember those. Doing the clay animation and stop motion for Captain EO, and that had Michael Jackson also doing the clay animation such for Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. And also his studio, Will Vinton Studios, went from that to, as of now, Leica Studios. As you guys know, Leica Studios doing Coraline, The Missing Link, etc., those. But anyway, so yeah, Will Vinton, he was part of this movie. I think either part of the animation or executive producer. It's one of those two. But, so with the movie, The Wild, because the movie, it's kind of interesting, because with the opening, like, we see the animation logo, and we hear Samson's voice and Ryan's voice, and that light or ball or whatever that flies by over the castle, it's like, it kind of stops, and like, as Samson's talking, then finally makes it, and then as the logo ends, the Disney logo, a little montage such, and like, the thing is with Ryan, he's not good at roaring, like, because he's not really good, because, like, it's not good, but Samson, he could really roar, and like, also, like, when the zoo closes and everything else, they have this, like, big hockey game and such. Samson and all his animal friends against the penguins, and also, like, there's one part where, like, Ryan and I guess his, like, teenage animal friends, like a hippo and a kangaroo, they, like, sound off the antelope to, like, run and such, and they cause panic and almost hurt the animals and such in the zoo, and Samson is not pleased with it, and like, even says, just because, even blows it, saying, just because you can't roar, which that really hurts Ryan. And you see the look on Samson's face, and like Ryan says, you know what I'm doing when I'm sitting in a tree, and then one thing he says that, like, how I wish that Samson was not my father, and it kind of hurts Samson, but but still, he knows that he blew it, and he took it too far, and that's when like Ryan goes in one of the green boxes, but then all of a sudden he flat out changes his mind and doesn't want to be taken away. And that's when Samson gets word from these pigeons that which way to go and everything else to the green boxes and the docks and everything else, I guess. And the animal buddies with him, from Benny the squirrel, voiced by Jim Belushi, Nigel, this koala, voiced by Eddie Izzard, and a giraffe, Bridget, voiced by, oh God, what's her face? Janine, or yeah, I'm gonna have trouble saying her name, but who voiced Colette, who would a year later after The Wild voice Colette in Disney Pixar's Ratatouille. So yeah. And then also the snake, Larry the snake, voiced by Richard Kind. Yeah, so they all join him. And as they're driving such, like, I think it was Nigel who accidentally knocks Benny, and like he falls off of the garbage truck. They make their way through New York, and with all the signs and everything else, even Bridget the giraffe like sees the Toys R Us logo, and with Jeffy the giraffe, You can even see a quick, you can see a glimpse of Disney Radio and ABC. Well, it makes sense. I mean, that is in New York in real life, and, because, hey, it's a Disney movie, so, and that's happened before, like, if you guys remember the movie Oliver and Company, you see the word Disney and Coca-Cola in there, because, again, it's to give you the feel of New York, and it does work, both in all what it was in Oliver and Company and with The Wild, so, and even like Samson, he sees a poster and sign of advertising the New York Zoo, and with a picture of him and his son Ryan, And then they get off the garbage truck. Like there's this moment which I think is probably a reference into Star Wars, holding the two walls, like crushing them. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. They get out of the garbage truck, and then comes in these three dogs, like two big tough dogs and one Labradoodle kind of dog, those white dogs, Labradoodle, whatever. Even like Samson can't roar at them. He just finds an excuse, finds excuses, which we'll get to that later. They end up in the sewer, and they come across these crocodiles, or they're either crocodiles or alligators. I can't remember. I think they're crocodiles, and no, they're alligators. I mean, you guys let me know. If you guys seen The Wild, and if you know, you guys let me know. And they end up on a boat and such. Samson's real, because somebody's driving the boat. They, I think it's I think it's Bridget who steps on Samson's tail, causes him to roar, and it scares the guy on the boat. He jumps off the boat, and then like they have control of the boat and such. And then Benny comes in, like he rides on birds and such, and they give them the directions of where the boat that has the green boxes and where Ryan is in one of them, which way it went. They follow it, and like they come across the island, and it turns out the green boxes were helping animals, like to bring the animals to safety, or I guess to the zoo or whatever, that. So those green boxes, and that Ryan was in one of them, they were to be taken to that island to pick up the animals. So that makes sense right there. And so, like, Ryan escapes, and then they find him and such, and then at one point, like, Samson tells the truth. I think it's a liar reveal kind of thing. I don't know. I don't think so. Kind of, but a little bit different, Stuff like that can be done in a different way, So, like, Samson tells them that, he's not from the wild, and that he really doesn't have the guts for, like, standing up or roaring and such, And so, like, Samson goes off to find Ryan, yet they're just standing there, like, he left us, and like, we're all gonna die. And then later on, as they're trying to find Ryan, out of nowhere, like, Nigel is missing, and it turns out that the wildebeests captured Nigel. Because, okay, I forgot to mention this, because throughout half of the film, because there's this koala plush that drives Nigel nuts, and that, it's one of those things, you pull the string, and it goes like, I'm so cuddly, I like you. And it turns out the backstory of that, because the wildebeests on that island worship that plush, and they found, I guess, the actual koala from that, and they say that the one wildebeest, the leader, I guess, voiced by William Shatner, Kazar, if I'm saying his name right, Kazar, it's Kazar, so I think it's pronounced Kazar, yeah, Kazar. You guys let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. I don't care. But, you can let me know, help me with stuff like that. So Kazar, the backstory and such of this, because Kazar was being chased by some lions, and then a plane was flying by and had that plush, and it fell out of the plane, landed in that spot where Kazar was cornered by the lioness, if I'm saying it right, the female lions, that is. And as the plush went off, I'm so cuddly, I like you. You hear the lions girly scream, ah! They run off, it scares the lions, and that's when Kazar realizes that it's a god of some kind that has rescued him, and, he worships it. Yeah, there we go. And, and that's when, like, Nigel is kind of liking this, like, being worshipped and, stuff like that. And then Ryan is kind of attacked by some vultures, because Kazar gave the order for the vultures to attack, or something like that, of Ryan. Samson comes in, saves Ryan from the vultures, and then that's when they get chased by the wildebeests, and Ryan tells his dad to, like, roar at them, but he can't, and he just tells him to run, and that's when, like, they get up a tree, and Samson tells the truth to his son, that, because he was not from the wild, and he was just like, basically, kind of Ryan, I guess, when he was a little cub, he was in a circus with his father, and, like, his father told him to roar and such, like, stand up and roar and such, and then, like, this mechanical kind of robotic wildebeest charges, and, of course, like with Ryan, he doesn't really have that worry, just like a cat kind of roar, like, and basically he failed his father, and, like, his father is not pleased, and, he's like, if you were born in the wild, you would have been just like, however he said it, and then both of them are separated, like, man, Samson's father just, like, is just an a-hole, he doesn't really, he just doesn't have heart, you know what I'm saying? This just, that's crazy. But, anyways, so, and that's the backstory for Samson. And then they eventually get caught by the wildebeest, and Samson gets knocked from a cliff, from the tree, gets knocked out. I think, Benny, we cut to Benny, he comes across these, like, I don't know what they're, like, there's these type of bugs themed to, German or something, I don't know. You watch the movie and you'll see, or if you guys seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just kind of weird. I will admit that's kind of weird, and so Benny comes across Samson, and also these lizards, because the ability of turning invisible and coloring, those. And Ryan gets taken in by the wildebeests and meets up with Bridget, Larry, and yet Nigel's there. And even, like, Bridget says to him, like, I'm gonna kill you, Nigel, and such. Oh, yeah, and even that one wildebeest voiced by Patrick Warburton, Blag, if I'm saying him right. Well, that wildebeest, voiced by Patrick Warburton, yeah. I guess pretty funny moments with him and Kazar, again, voiced by William Shatner. And then they come in, like, Samson and Benny come in, They save Nigel. Like, Nigel's trying to find excuses and ways for them not to cook Ryan and the rest of the animals. And that's when, like, this big climactic scene, I guess you could say, like, this battle between the wildebeests and the animals and with Samson, Ryan. And that's when Samson finally, like, does it, like, gives a big roar and such, and you see, because kind of shakes the place a bit with the rocks and everything. And that's when, at one point, the wildebeests turn against Ka-Zar, you know? And that's when, like, Ka-Zar's like, fine, you know, and everything else. And I like that line that Ka-Zar gives, you know, feast those lions, you know? That's a pretty cool line. And that's when Ka-Zar just, you know, trying to take them on and everything else. And that's when, you know, the whole place and the volcano and everything else is about to avalanche, and, you know, all of them make it out except for Ka-Zar, and there's the plush, you know. I'm so cuddly, I like you, just, uh-oh. And they make it out of there, the volcano explodes, and pretty much Ka-Zar is dead, basically. Didn't make it out of there pretty much. And then as they get on the boat, they escape. Then comes flying from the volcano, you know, lands on the boat, and it's the plush, and, like, Nigel's like, oh, can you survive? Can you float? You know, guess not. And then then there's, like, a big party and dance number and such. And then the movie ends, and yeah, so, you know, for The Wild, I gotta say, for me, it's okay. Like, some of the characters, like, I do kind of enjoy, like, I think two of my least favorites, like, two of my favorites would have to be Benny and Nigel. I mean, they're kind of funny and such, and especially with Benny the squirrel being voiced by Jim Belushi, and Nigel the koala being voiced by Eddie Izzard. I was almost about to say Eddie Izzard. Yeah, they're both funny. For the rest of the characters, like Bridget, Larry, they're pretty good. They're okay, and Samson, Ryan, they're okay. The villain is decent, you know, and William Shatner, like, I think he's okay voicing a villain and such. Like, I think he has voiced a few villains a couple times, and of course he had voiced Two-Face, you know, for the 60s Batman animated movie, you know, of Batman versus Two-Face, you know. But yeah, and the music by Alan Silvestri, if I'm saying his last name right. Yeah, anything that he does, he's one of those he's one of those movie composers that can do great music and everything else. And for this, I think he does pretty good with the music in this. With the animation, it's okay, you know. I mean, I think especially because after Disney did their first animated feature, computer animated feature, Chicken Little, you know, they had just gotten started, and from Chicken Little to The Wild, you know, and I think up till a year later with Meet the Robinsons, the animation was starting to get a little bit better for the Disney studios, but, you know. But anyway, so with all that said, The Wild, oh man, I'd give it, I give it 6 out of 10 stars. I mean, I think 6 out of 10 stars, that's okay? I think it's still good, you know. 6 out of 10 stars could still be good, you know. So, and you guys let me know what you think of The Wild. If you enjoyed and what you think of it, you know, let me know in the comment section your thoughts on The Wild, etc. So again, 6 out of 10 stars for The Wild. Hope you enjoyed this review video. More new review videos coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video /review video. Take care and peace out.